Thor, Love and Thunder, and Ms. Marvel. As you can tell by the title of this stream, I have very different opinions about both. Very contrasting opinions towards both Marvel Studios productions that have released in the month of July and June, to say the least. I want to start off by talking about Ms. Marvel, because that just finished today. I watched the finale this morning, and I'm mixed feelings about it. Really, I'm mixed feelings about Ms. Marvel. For the most part, I have to admit I didn't like it. There are some redeeming qualities, and if I'm being truthfully honest, I think the only redeeming qualities I can think of were the ones... Oh, God. Wait for this thing to load and I'll carry on talking. I don't think I'm on air at the moment. Come on, buddy. There you go. So, Ms. Marvel did have some redeeming qualities in my opinion. However, it massively lacked for the most part. I think the few redeeming qualities were found in the finale episode. I did, for the most part, enjoy the 5th episode, because for some reason Marvel, with their Disney Plus shows, always tend to knock it out the park in their 5th episodes. I don't really know why, I don't really know how, but they did it with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, they did it with Moon Knight, they did it with Loki. What If and WandaVision had 9 episodes each, but at the same time their second to last episodes always stood out for me personally. Ms. Marvel though did, for the most part, it quite disappointed me, which is why I've just got this game on, because it's the only one where I've got like all the characters to get. If I had another game, trust me, I would. I would play something else, because this game, as fun as it is, I don't really see any enjoyment playing it without my sister, really. I'm going to switch characters. I'm just going to switch to Ms. Marvel and Captain Marvel for this one. That'd be quite appropriate. One thing I will say, it's not really... yeah, the title has spoilers. I thought I'd just reinforce that. You know what? I'm just going to put on with a no mask, because, yeah. The costume for Ms. Marvel was actually really good. It looks quite similar to what she has in the comic books, and obviously I know this is a Lego game, but it's still based off the comic books. I really like it. I genuinely like the costume. I think it's really cool. No, that was easy. You know, I think the costume design for Ms. Marvel's character was good, but she was the only one that had a costume. No one else did. I think the only other, in fact no, because they were more so, everyone else either had casual high school attire or religious Islam robes. I'm still annoyed with the treatment they gave the Islam faith. I feel like they completely disrespected their religion. Some of the representation was good, but that more so came from when they actually went to Pakistan. I thought that that was the only decent, like, good representation they had for Muslims. But the rest of it I thought was really disrespectful, how they had people on their phones in the mosque, and I wasn't really, I'm not religious myself personally, but at the same time I respect other people's beliefs. So I can't even like begin to imagine what they thought. I thought the wedding was cool, but then again it felt like something from the Disney Channel, and I wasn't really hoping to be watching this is the same rating as Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which literally had someone's brain explode. Like, there should be a really big tone difference at this point, and there just wasn't. So, I'm a bit peeved off with how it literally felt like I was watching something from the Disney Channel. I think, I don't know, maybe it should have been advertised with that rating. Then in that case, I would have known what to expect. But I don't know. I thought the acting was very hit and miss, which pains me to say because I think Marvel has excellent actors, and if I'm being honest, I think Iman Vellani did quite good, but some of the things that I don't know, it felt a little bit too slapstick in some cases. I think the thing that got to me the most was the really cheesy and overly animated facial expressions at some point. I think they really discombobulated the immersion. It really did. For example, when that kid broke his leg, the face that Iman was probably told to pull, I think it just felt a little bit too. It felt a little bit too animated, and I just think that it, you know, not really something I'd have gone for. This was pretty cool to see in the finale. Speaking of Kamala's powers, I know a lot of people have been quite upset with the fact that they changed her powers from the comic books, but if I'm being honest, I feel like they needed to, because they literally introduced Mr. Fantastic about a month before Kamala. Like, they literally introduced someone that would have the exact same powers. And Marvel, if I'm being honest, they are really starting to pick at characters that just don't have original powers anymore. For example, my biggest problem with the Eternals was that everyone just kind of had a power we'd seen already. We'd already seen laser eyes, or, you know, conjuring weapons, or being really smart. We already saw that, so it kind of felt a bit unnecessary. So I'm glad that Kamala does have different style powers. Obviously it's the same gimmick as Mr. Fantastic's, you know, the elongated body parts, but this feels more, you're energized, and I think it's pretty cool, if I'm being honest. I think the actual aesthetic of her powers is pretty good, although I think the CGI was really lacking in some areas. And I think Marvel's been relatively good with CGI recently. There's some noticeable you know, some noticeable areas where it's quite noticeable. Sorry, I just completely said something stupid. Right? Yeah, noticeable. Yeah, you know what I mean. But I think for the most part it was okay. It wasn't too good in the finale episode. The CGI, I thought, was a little bit. The soundtrack I thought was relatively good. Most of it was quite forgettable, if I'm honest, but the really dramatic, cinematic, the dramatic melody that plays, I thought that was really good. And I do like how it had a bit more of a modernised approach to some of the you know, third-party songs they use. For example, Blinding Lights, Living on a Prayer by Bon Jovi. I thought that was excellent. Oh my god, that was really fun to watch. But for the most part, I have to say I wasn't too keen on the general direction of the show. Maybe it's just the tone wasn't for me, and that's completely understandable. I'm sure that there will be a lot of people that absolutely love it. I just can't really see myself enjoying it so much. I love how dark and gritty Marvel has been, even with characters such as Spider-Man over the last few years. And obviously Spider-Man's meant to be a really happy-go-lucky superhero, but they've really brought him back down to reality. And I think with Ms. Marvel, my biggest gripe with it is that the series felt way too perfect, and I mean that in the sense that everyone just kind of ignored Kamala's decisions and ignored Kamala's mistakes. It didn't feel like she learned from anything she went through. You know, she was responsible for a kid breaking his ankle, which, you know, that kind of goes against that's literally the kind of behaviour that caused the events of Civil War. Obviously, Civil War was much more extreme because people were dying at the hands of the Avengers' response to threats. But, you know, people getting hurt, and it just felt really like no one learned anything. And don't get me wrong, it's great to finally see understanding parents, but it just kind of felt a bit ridiculous at times. No, it felt ridiculous most of the time. Her mum was great. I think her mum at first made a lot of sense, but then she just kind of, the moment she sees Kamala with the bangle, and she's like, oh yeah, my daughter's the one that can do the nightlight powers. It just, the turnaround felt so sudden. Like, don't get me wrong, I get it that it's been done before. You know, Aunt May sees Peter in the Spider-Man suit, and then in the next movie, her and Peter are working together, and then she ends up being the one to deliver the "with great power comes great responsibility" line, and, you know, but it worked with Spider-Man because we didn't really need to see that. But with Kamala, I feel like because it was such more character-driven, we did, and the turnaround was just really, the turnaround felt really forced. It doesn't really feel like any of the characters truly grew as the series went on. I feel like Kamala's still quite selfish. You know, there was barely any acknowledgement of Bruno's exit to, I think it was MIT he got into, I can't really remember. There was barely any acknowledgement. She was like, oh wait, but no, we've got to sort this out. She felt really selfish, and if I'm being honest, I feel like she had that ideology throughout most of the series, and that's what bothers me the most. I feel like this is still very much a little girl. Now, obviously, we know that she's going to be returning in the Marvels, hence why I have Captain Marvel here, and I do want to talk about her quick little cameo in a second. But at the same time, I think that the show really didn't grow the character in the same way that other characters have grown from their standalone Disney Plus shows. You know, even characters like Hawkeye, who have been around for, you know, 11 years at this point, he still grew in his own show. Loki's been around for the same amount of time. He grew in his show. Moon Knight, excellent character development from establishing Stephen Grant to then Mark Spector and then Jake Lockley. Moon Knight was fantastic. I honestly, it might be, I can't rank it, but it is literally, Moon Knight is superb. I loved it, and Moon Knight is the kind of example the Marvel's now set for themselves on how to establish really good character growth with a new character. I have this fear going in for She-Hulk come August, because She-Hulk should be, you know, She-Hulk don't look too good in my opinion. I'm not really hugely excited for that show, but at the same time, you know, because I know it's going to be tapping into the same stuff as Ms. Marvel had. It's clearly going to be interconnected with the whole damage control thing. So we probably will get mentions of what happened in New Jersey in She-Hulk, and that'll be really cool. But back to Ms. Marvel, I think a lot of things felt really forced. The Inhuman thing, I think, was, they clearly deliberately went with the whole not going down the Inhuman route, and the whole Terrigen Mist thing, probably because they don't want to convolute it too much, because I do get the feeling they are going to reintroduce the Inhumans somehow, because of course we were going to get an Inhumans movie, you know, 8 years ago it was announced, and then it was relegated to a TV show. The TV show flopped, so therefore it was decanonized from the MCU. But then, of course, Black Bolt, some Mount showing up in Multiverse of Madness as member of the Illuminati, which was awesome and so good to see. So the Inhumans are MCU canon because, of course, there will be a Black Bolt in the 616 universe. Sorry about that. But it's clear they're saving him for something else. I was not expecting the mutant twist. That I am really happy about. I'm thoroughly impressed about making Kamala a mutant. I wasn't expecting that at all. Technically, that makes her the first named mutant in MCU canon. However, I still believe that Wanda Maximoff and the Scarlet Witch are mutant, or is a mutant, but just hasn't had that official confirmation yet. I think that would probably come from either 616 Magneto or 616 Professor X. Hopefully played by Patrick Stewart, but that's, besides the point. I'm very impressed with making her a mutant. That, I think, was probably the most redeeming quality of the series for me. I think that I'm glad they didn't go down the whole Inhumans route, because I think Inhumans is not on the same tier as the mutants and the X-Men. I think it'd be interesting if to make Kamala a member of the X-Men and not the Avengers. I think that'd be an interesting change. Although I personally think they're going to just make her an Avenger, or a new Avenger, or a champion. I don't really know what they want to do. Or a young Avenger, because technically there isn't a set Avengers team anymore. I think the series as a whole, I'd have to rank it as my least favourite MCU project. I can't say I completely hate it, because I did actually end up enjoying a lot of it. But towards the end, I think I just couldn't really catch the vibes, and I couldn't really get into it. I think the Aisha, I'm really going to try and not butcher these names, because I do not want to sound offensive at all. I don't want to sound like I'm taking the mick, but I think the history, making her going back in time and doing saving a grandma, I think that was interesting, but then again, wasn't really too bothered, because we had the time travel thing in Endgame, and that's kind of linked in with the Loki stuff. So it's cool that there is some other form of time travel in the MCU. However, I don't think she's gonna just willingly go back in time. I think that's exclusively to that moment where she had to do it. And then she can't do it again. I personally, I don't really want her to go back in time again, because I don't really see the need for it. I'd rather they just leave that one there, and then just move on with it. Oh, it was nice to hear the X-Men theme again. I forgot to talk about that during the mutants bit. That was probably my favourite part of the whole show. Just hearing that tiny little bit of X-Men theme. Same as with Multiverse of Madness, when Professor X showed up. We got to hear a little snippet of an orchestral X-Men 97 theme, and that is really cool, because we've now got to see a guitar version, which I think was a bit more of a homage to the original theme, because of course the TV show was the theme was played through the guitar. However, I think they went down the old orchestral route with Charles Xavier because of the fact that it's such a grand and huge moment for the MCU. They wanted to do it with orchestral, whereas for Ms. Marvel, it's just a quick little, you know, there you go. The Captain Marvel cameo, I have no idea what the hell was going on with that. It made no sense. Probably going to explain it in the Marvels. Of course, Ms. Marvel will return in the Marvels. That's what it said at the end of the episode. But the post-credit scene was, you know, I'm a bit disappointed, really. I think they could have gone down a bit more. I think they could have had Captain Marvel interact with Kamala, interact with Ms. Marvel in the actual show. I don't know, maybe I personally would have done it so when Kamala is sitting on the lamppost recreating the iconic cover, as the camera spins around to Kamala's face, we see Captain Marvel behind her, and we would have had a quick exchange of dialogue there before we had the mutant reveal. Because you know, Captain Marvel would have heard by now. It was all over TikTok, AvengerCon, you know. So besides, she was even dressed as Captain Marvel for the first 2 episodes. So you know, it's a bit. It would have made sense to have Carol show up, but I had no idea what's going on. The bangle just glitched, and then it just spun her into the through a door, and then Carol comes out. Don't really know what was it with her costume. It's like a mix of the Captain Marvel 1 suit with a bit more tactical. You know, had short sleeves, well, long sleeves, but like pulled up. She had gloves, or like black gloves that were fingerless. I thought it looked pretty cool, to be fair, but I still didn't really get it. She just took a look at Carol in her at Kamala's room, and how Carol was literally everywhere, and found out she was a Captain Marvel super fan. You know, I'm intrigued to know what's going on, but I'm not massively that. Like, if I'm being honest, the only things I'm like tremendously excited for next year are Guardians 3, Ant-Man 3, and hopefully some more news on the Disney Plus shows. Like, that's the only thing I'm quite excited for. The Marvels I'm not massively bothered about, but I will go see it now that I know that there's more significance to it. We will be revisiting Monica Rambeau as well. Hopefully seeing 3 of them team up. I think that'll be interesting. But I'm a bit like confused more than anything, but yeah, it wasn't the best. I wouldn't have done I wouldn't have done most of the things that the show did if I was producing, if I was directing. I'm not saying it was a bad show, but I will be honest, I think it's not something I will be watching again. Even in prep for the Marvels, I will probably just hop back on YouTube and just watch the recap clips on Marvel Studios' page. But yeah, now that I've finished talking about Ms. Marvel, I want to move on to something I'm going to be a lot more positive about, because I freaking adored it. It's got to be Thor: Love and Thunder. I went to go see Love and Thunder. Oh God, not. I went to go see Thor: Love and Thunder. Not. I went to go see it on Saturday. That's when I saw it. Wednesday now. I love this film. It might even be top 3 for me. Top 3 MCU films. I need to watch it again because I just enjoyed it that much. There's a lot of things I want to talk about. There wasn't really many things I didn't like about this film. In fact, the one I will just say right from the bat, this film is another example of why MCU films need to be longer. I'm not saying 3 hours long Endgame style. I'm not saying 2.5 hours Infinity War style, but just a little bit longer. This film was, I believe, 2 hours, which, don't get me wrong, is average for a movie, but this is a film where we could have seen so much more. We could have seen more Valkyrie. We could have seen more gore. Although what we got with gore was fantastic. I want to talk about gore separately. I loved gore. I think first thing I want to start off with is talking about the dynamic between Thor and the Mighty Thor, Jane Foster. That was beautiful. Seriously, what we got between these two in the movie was just beautiful. Honestly, I feel like it's the most romantic MCU film we've ever had. That's kind of what they were going for as well. Thor was so soft and so, you know, it was like a big kid, and I loved it. You can clearly see it was Taika Waititi's vision. It was such a lovely and just really well put together movie. The storytelling was excellent. I think my favourite moment from the movie, I still haven't decided yet, because I loved all the stuff with Stormbreaker. Stormbreaker is my favourite weapon in the MCU, without a doubt. Has been since Infinity War. I think this is the most powerful we've seen Thor since Infinity War. I'm not sure if it's the most powerful we've ever seen Thor, but I would say definitely since Infinity War. Stormbreaker is a beast, and Thor really knows how to use it well, which in my opinion makes him the strongest fighter in the MCU. I'm not getting into the strongest Avenger debate. I can't be bothered. But I really did enjoy this film. Natalie Portman had such an amazing redemption arc, because I was never too fond of her. I was never really too fond of her in the first two Thor films. I think yeah, I was a little bit with her performance, but Natalie Portman smashed it out the park this time. I was actually really gutted when she died. I wasn't expecting her to die at all, and you know, I can't say I cried, because I was just too infatuated by the humour and the fact this is the funniest Marvel MCU movie I've ever seen. Obviously, when Deadpool 3 hits theatres, that'll be easily dethroned. But I absolutely adored this film. The scenes between Mighty Thor and Valkyrie were really good. I thought they were really sweet, and that you had that sisterhood. Mighty Thor and Thor, they had such a playful energy together, which is why I think they worked amazingly, because it felt like we were seeing Thor at his best self again, with the person that he loved the most. So I love how we finally got clarity as to why he and Jane broke up, because obviously it was quite blunt in Ragnarok, obviously because of the fact that, you know, she didn't come back, she didn't sign on again for Ragnarok through to Endgame, but technically she did show up in Endgame as but yeah, it was just really, really good how we got to see really good how we got to see that clarity as to why they split, and the reason why she's worthy was so good. Thor was just like, hey, just protect her to Mjolnir, and that made her worthy. Thor, without knowing, saved her life. You know, I thought the way they did the cancer storyline was exceptionally good. It really stood out to me. I think that they did a beautiful portrayal of cancer. It is quite heartbreaking that this is the next major MCU female character to die from cancer, because of course we had Meredith Quill, Star-Lord's mum, Maria Rambeau during the 5-year blip. Now Jane, and obviously we lost Jane's mother, Elaine Foster, to cancer as well. I'm glad that Marvel is going in on representing cancer, because it is such a disgraceful disease, and it sickens me that it's still a thing.
It is safe.
But they're paying homage for the original storyline from the comic books. I think the way they did it was just so well done, and the costume design, unlike Ms. Marvel, Thor: Love and Thunder had, in my opinion, some of the most beautiful costumes I've ever seen. They were absolutely stunning. Thor's blue and gold suit, I think, was just marvellous, pun intended. Although I will admit, I wish we got to see the helmet and the chainmail arms in the final battle against Gore. I don't know why, I just really enjoyed it so much. But I'm not going to complain. I think the costume department smashed out the park with this film. Truly the most prettiest costumes I've seen in a long time. Yeah. Where do I go next with this thoughts video? Who's that? Olympus. Omnipotent City, not Olympus. Omnipotent City, I think that might be one of my favourite scenes in the film. Zeus is a amazing character. Honestly, would love to see a full movie with him and Hercules. It's funny actually, because I watched the Hercules movie the other week, and I loved it. And now Marvel's got their Hercules in, which is, it's not massively different. Is Hercules in this game? I really wish he was.
I wonder if that Kree searcher ever finished with
Yeah,
this
it won't be.
I want to evolve already.
Don't really know who to play us, so I'm just gonna put on Star-Lord, because obviously we got to see the Guardians of the Galaxy make a comeback, which is so nice to see. I've missed the Guardians, I really have. I know they were in Endgame, but I haven't really seen them back in space having a good time since Infinity War, and I've missed it. I'm a little bit surprised we didn't really see any major setup for Guardians 3, like not a mention of Gamora, but we did see a crap ton of distress course, and I feel like that's where we're going to kick off with Guardians 3. I think that'll be really nice. This place kind of reminds me of Comatage, to be honest. Oh, it's just it's Kunlun, I think. There you go. Yeah, the role we got with Guardians was so good. Where else do I go? I haven't really planned any of my thoughts down, you see. Omnipotent City, the Guardians. I'm a little bit gutted we didn't see Khonshu or any of the Egyptian gods show up in Omnipotent City. only because it would have been a nice way to finally tie in Moon Knight to the greater MCU. But then again, I'm not too disheartened about that, because what we got with the gods was really funny, and also it does something which I think is absolutely amazing, and it canonizes it canonizes every single god of every single religion. So, you know, Jesus exists. We got the Wakandan deity, even the bloody dumpling one. Like, what was that? That was awesome. It was really cute, like chibi little dumpling thing. That was so good. And the Korg, I do want to talk about Korg because that had me creasing of laughter. But this film was just perfect. This is going to be a very messy thoughts video because I haven't planned down anything. I need to see the film again, to be honest. I think it was just too good. Probably not going to pay to go see it again because it cost me quite a lot. But hopefully it'll drop on Disney Plus next month. Just because I really don't want to wait. I really do not want to wait. I think this movie was just superb. Gore, right? Gore. I want to talk a lot about Gore now. I can't say he is my favourite villain of the entire MCU. He's definitely my favourite Thor villain, but he might also be up there as one of my favourites. I can't put him in a top 3. I can't put him in, but I can put him in a top 10. I don't know where I put him, but I would happily put Gore in a top 10. Gore the God Butcher was incredible. I think he is the most strongestly motivated, villain to motivation since Thanos. Which, you know, that says a lot. Only 3 years after Endgame, the fact we're still getting amazing villains. Truly heartbroken when he died. I was really hoping that Gore would stick around for a bit longer, but he served his purpose really well. So Taika clearly didn't want to push it. With Gore, he did just the job, and that's what I love so dearly about Gore's character in this film. He really did serve his purpose wonderfully. Christian Bale smashed it out. I think all the actors smashed it out of the park in this film, unlike the Ms. Marvel series where I think the acting kind of fell a bit flat. Christian Bale, Natalie Portman, Tessa Thompson, Taika Waititi, Chris Hemsworth absolutely nailed it. Russell Crowe as Zeus as well. Oh my days. I think what got me the most with Gore is that he was just a father that loved his kid, which is really opposite. You know, you can argue that Thanos loved his kid, loved Gamora and Nebula, but then again he forced them to fight, and he literally abused he abused both of them, but he seriously abused Nebula. You can say that all these characters, you know, Gore went crazy after his daughter died. It was just his love for his daughter and his you know, his treatment by the gods, and that just seriously made it so much more compelling. I really did get a strong parallel to Gore and the beginning of Thor, Thor's journey back in his first film. And you know, because obviously Mjolnir, well, Thor was chosen to wield Mjolnir, and Gore was chosen to wield the Necro Sword. But their character traits at the start was so much more different. Thor became wiser, and Gore just was wise. That was such a lovely little juxtaposition between the two characters there, and I think their feud just became so much more interesting because Gore was terrifying. He literally kidnapped children. He is, the shadow monsters and the obviously there would have been symbiotes if Sony weren't going to throw a hissy fit, but I thought the shadow monsters were really cool, and the way they did it was really well done. The shadow world, the effects there were absolutely stunning. The whole black and white monochrome, the monochrome world was so well done, and the only saturated colors came from the abilities of the weapons. So Zeus's Thunderbolt, Stormbreaker, Mjolnir, they really did knock it out of the park. And I was so gutted when Gore took Stormbreaker, because that's Stormbreaker's my boy. But no, it was so good. We got to see Eternity, which is a major entity in the MCU, in just Marvel Comics in general, because that is literally the living embodiment of the universe. So it was so good we got to finally see Eternity. And for Thor to be the one of the first beings to reach Eternity is exceptional, is really good. Seeing that journey of Thor becoming a father himself to Gore's daughter was really cool, especially the fact she's played by Thor, Chris Hemsworth's actual daughter. That's really sweet. I was really happy with that direction they went. The whole film was just so good. Alright, I think I want to address probably the funniest bit in the film for me. It's not in this game, but there is a Cronin warrior. I'll just put as in replacement of him. Korg was absolutely hilarious. We got the reveal that Korg is gay, which I thought was really funny. I love how Marvel, Taika Waititi just didn't care. He just thought, you know what, let's do it. And I thought that was so cool. Zeus flicks Thor's clothes off, and he asks Thor if everyone was okay, if everyone didn't mind, and they're like, oh yeah, it's fine. Thor's like, loved it, in the most casual way. It talks about how he was born with two dads, which is a little bit of a retcon actually, because of course in Ragnarok, Korg addresses that the only people that took part in his revolution was his mum and his stepdad, who he hated, whereas in this film it's like he's got two dads. My, I guess, counter argument to it being a retcon is just maybe Cronin people are just gender fluid and could identify as anything. I mean, technically they're either all gender fluid or there's no females at all. So one of the dads could have just been I could have just identified as a woman, or a female or feminine type character. I don't really know. I'm not going to try to get into the LGBT politics because I do not understand it. But honest to God, Korg was such a funny character in this film, and his interaction with Thor just made it funnier. We got to see some really funny moments between Thor and Stormbreaker. I think Korg just kind of took it to the next level in terms of comedy, and that's what I really enjoyed the most from this film. It just didn't take itself too seriously. I think that's definitely my most enjoyed thing in this film. It was serious when it needed to be. Dealing with cancer, they did not make any jokes about it, which I love. I love how they paid respect to cancer and victims of cancer. They did deal with Gore's love for his daughter quite seriously, but everything else was quite It was just chill. It feels like the kind of movie I would probably watch on a date. Like, genuinely, I mean, it's probably why I'm still single, because I think it's a good movie for a date, but, you know, it's so funny. It's a rom-com. Thor Love and Thunder is a certified rom-com. And probably my favourite rom-com I've seen. It was really strong. You know, we got the Korg, clearly an Easter egg to The Rock, because he got with a dude called Dwayne, who's obviously a big rock, so... You know, I saw that there. Maybe we're overthinking it. It's just some dude called Dwayne. But you know, I feel like it wrapped up Korg's story quite nicely. Thor is set to return in the MCU as the movie confirms at the end. You know, Thor will return, which is so cool. But I think, well, where is it meant to go from here? Because Korg became a father. Thor's now a father. Are we going to see... No, I don't really know. I love this film so much. You know, spoke about the visual effects. If I would have done anything different, I would have made the post-credit scene... I would have made the post-credit scene not just Hercules, but also Beta Ray Bill. I still want to see him in the next. I want to see him soon. I don't know if it'll be in Thor 5, if we're going to get a Thor 5 or whatever. I just want to see Beta Ray Bill in something, or even in a Hercules movie. I think that'd be pretty cool. Hercules versus Beta Ray Bill. Maybe same team up. Valhalla. We finally got to see Valhalla. Seeing Heimdall again was amazing, as well as the shock of finding out he has a son. Or maybe we always knew he had a son. I just forgot. You know, I thought it was so good. Finding out that Heimdall as a kid, and seeing Heimdall again was really sweet. I love Idris Elba. I think he was quite underused in the movies. He got a great ending in Infinity War. It's just nice to see him again. I'm gonna go back to Jane Foster. So it was, yeah, that was really fun to see. Just, oh my god, I think I've lost track of what I want to say. I spoke about gore, spoke about the acting in general. The visual effects were stunning. The pacing of the film was really quick. Going back to what I said about the film being too short, I think you know, from the Shadow Realm to the place to get to Eternity, can't remember what it's called again. We should have gotten a bit more going on there. It was literally Valkyrie gets stabbed, Stormbreaker gets stolen, they're back on New Asgard. Thor has a little bit of a scene with Jane Foster in a bed. Didn't even see Valkyrie or Korg. I don't know, we did see Valkyrie a little bit. I think we should have got a bit more, just a little bit more character, you know, interactions between the cast. I personally would have, you know, had a little bit more of Thor's response to, you know, Jane's terminal cancer, and just kind of be a bit more in depth of it. But you know, we got what we got when we got it. Sorry. You alright? Okay. See you in a bit. What about that? Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I have to say, really. I've spoken about near enough everything I want to talk about for the movie. Yeah, what do you guys think? That's what I want to know. I would definitely put it in my top 3 favourite MCU movies. Probably start off with Endgame is my number 1, Infinity War my number 2, and then Thor: Love and Thunder my number 3. You know, I'm a bit about Loki not showing up, but I loved the tattoo. That was great. He got Loki tattooed, Tony, Natasha, Odin, Frigga. You got everyone tattooed, but Loki was the biggest because obviously he meant the most to Thor. But yeah, it was really sweet. So yeah, that's going to be it for this stream. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys next time, and peace out. Bye bye.